Today I want to talk to you about the ego. I've made a few videos about the subconscious, and understanding the ego is part of the subconscious. A big primary thing for the subconscious is to take care of the body. This ego is formulated when we're young. It really has to do with what the world tells you what the world is, what other people tell you what you are. The way that we function is that we are trying to figure out what the world is, and we're trying to figure out who we are at a very young age. And then we have a belief. So we have an idea that we need to attach to this or that. How we think about ourselves. I am a father. I am an American citizen. These attachments is connected to our ego, to our sense of individuality. Okay. Now, this sense of individuality is understandable when you look at, what we've been through, and a lot of times this ego is due to the trauma. So trauma is subjective. Being left at the shopping center when you were young could be traumatic, and as an adult, you may have issues with being alone. You don't know why, but being alone is something you fear. Okay, this stuff goes on in our subconscious, and our ego is attached to preventing that. So whenever we get triggered, our ego is attached to this sense of self that is individualistic, and the motivations that come from that, the actions that come from that, is not always harmful, but at times it can be. So this ego that we have is the source of all of our suffering. This ego that we have to understand it. We have to be aware of it. It's not something that we can just say, I don't have an ego. When people say they don't have an ego, the reality is this is triggering them. This ego is very important for us to understand, and some of our egos are very fragile, and you are not your ego. That's what I'm going to tell you. So I want you to understand that this ego, these thoughts, these compulsions that are going on in you, anger, whatever it is, this is definitely something within you. This is something you picked up with this world. This is what you might have been attracted to, might have been on your mind for whatever reason, but it's more so because you've been exposed to it. This is marketing. This is stuff you see on TV. These are books that you read. You are the higher self that is experiencing this world in your body, and part of your body is you're an animal, and animals have a self-defense mechanism, a way that we think. When you get triggered, you have adrenaline pumping through you, just like a zebra would running away from a lion, or the same type of adrenaline a lion has when it needs to go find its prey. Inside of us, we have all these things that are going on, and we have to understand that we don't need this adrenaline in families. We don't need this adrenaline at work. We don't need to react to these things the way that we have been conditioned to through the ego, to protect for me, mine. So the ego is always me, mine. Even though you may not want to admit it, that's the source of the ego. It's all about me. Okay, if you just look at that, you might realize you feel a little bit embarrassed. You might feel a little bit shameful. You might not even want to tell people what is your thoughts inside, and you might hide it. The mind is a problem-solving machine. It's trying to figure out who you are, and it's constantly thinking about what other people are thinking because it's trying to figure that out, and you'll see that. But when you know who you are, when you have answered that question, and you understand that you're the higher self, and you can observe this higher self, and you can observe your ego, and you can observe your compulsions, you can observe life, you can see what's going on outside your mind, and you can respond to things you'll find your way through this. We just have to get past this trigger that so many of us are experiencing and we're reacting to. And it's not really what's going on. It's actually, if you look at it, I'll make some videos about what the trigger is, that it's not really what you feel. It's more so a reflection of you. There's something going on in you that you gotta address. This ego is something that is in us, it's natural, and it's not bad. We just have to reteach ourselves life. So there's a way. Aloha.